The original intent of this episode's cold open was to be a rewritten version of the St. Michael the Archangel prayer, but about the St. Paul Saints. As a Catholic with a lot of explaining to do, I didn't want this to add to my time in purgatory. Do we even do purgatory anymore? Anyway, just trust me, it would have been hilarious. Now, on to the episode.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with...
Welcome to Let's Get To, your tour of America through the lens of minor league baseball. Baseball from sea to shining sea. And now, the first pitch. Opening thoughts from James Christopher. Presented by the Dad Hat Chronicles.
Ball game.
I'm James Christopher, and new rules. No, I'm not doing my riff on the epic and iconic Bill Maher sketch. No, but we're talking about the fact that Major League Baseball has announced 3 big rule changes for going into the 2023 season. And the funny thing is I kind of love one. I'm sort of meh about another. And frankly, not happy about the third. So we'll go in, we'll start with the good news. And I actually love that the bases are getting bigger. One of the things we've said on this show, Andy said it, Brian said it, Scott said it, I've said it, action on the base paths, getting runners in motion. That's actually how you make baseball consistently exciting. Yes, the home run is an exciting play in baseball, obviously. It's probably the second most exciting play. I think a triple, probably because they're rarer. But if you're sitting around waiting for a home run, sometimes you're sitting around waiting. The idea of being able to put a runner in motion, being able to have a stolen base become something that makes more sense analytically, because again, it's still a game ran by analytics these days. If you do that, if it makes more sense analytically, you'll see more of it. And I just think it's a more exciting game when runners are running, we've got stolen bases. And if you look at most times that second is stolen, the difference is really a fraction of an inch. And so if you get that much space, it doesn't seem like a lot, but I think it's enough that stolen base rates percentages will go up, meaning they'll happen more in the game, meaning that we'll get a little bit more action going on. And I, for one, am all about it. I love the concept of hit and runs. I love all of that stuff. And so if we can see more of it and still get home runs, I'm all about that life. The second rule, it's interesting because the way I feel about it is kind of different depending on what we're talking about. And that's the pitch clock. Now, minor league baseball fans, so therefore fans of this show, know that we've actually lived with a pitch clock at the minor league level for a really long time now. Now, this year it's been different. I don't know if it's shorter or longer, but they're certainly being more diligent in how they're enforcing it. And yes, the added or the end result will be a faster game. And I understand why that's appealing to television. Though I still contend, how can you say you love baseball if you want it over quicker? The areas where I'm kind of annoyed by the pitch clock is that the games will be faster, not just on TV, but games I attend. And at the minor league level, we've talked about it on this show a bunch. We'll continue to talk about it. As games get shorter and more compressed, it has a direct effect on the amount of money teams can make. Merch, booze, food, all of those things. Even in some cases, fireworks night, which usually are the biggest nights, are starting to see a reduction because now there's like a big gap of time between it being dark enough to light the fireworks and the end of the game. So that bugs me right there because I feel for these minor league owners, particularly the smaller ones who own a team or maybe a few teams. They're the lifeblood of the sport, and I hate to see that happen. The other thing is, and we've talked about on the show a bunch, baseball's expensive. Baseball, we took the grandkids. We got not great seats because we bought them late. I think we were like up like in the 400s at Minute Maid Park. 6 tickets, just tickets alone, $400. Doesn't count food. Doesn't count getting Braxton and Lulu a hat, because if you've seen them, you know they need a hat. They're just the most precious things ever. But I pay a lot of money to get there. I don't get to get down there a whole bunch. Why do I want that time to be over quicker as a fan? And again, I understand it. This is for casuals. It's not for folks like me who would gladly sit through a 9-inning doubleheader. Bring it on. If I hear about a doubleheader, I get very excited. I've been to a couple of, really only 1 or 2 Astros ones, because clearly you live in a roof. I was at the one where the Mets voluntarily played a doubleheader right after Hurricane Harvey. I don't understand why people want the game to be over quicker and why that's the main solution they're leaning into, while on the other hand, complicating the matters of as far as the time getting over by increasing offense, which leads me to the third new rule, which I despise, which I hate, which I loathe, and that is banning the shift. Now, I understand that as an Astros fan with 2 incredible left-handed hitters on the team, i.e. Jordan and Kyle Tucker, that they're going to benefit from this shift being banned. Benefiting or not, it's not necessarily the point. The point is, should we limit the fact that some teams choose to invest in analytics, who choose to play the game smarter than others? Should we restrict that somewhat artificially to benefit teams who can't or don't want to do it? We're essentially making this rule for the Joey Gallos of the world. The folks who, I hear young baseball fans talk about, well, yeah, quit saying hit against the shift. That's not how it works, blah, 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 blah. I grew up watching Tony Gwynn play baseball. He was one of those guys, when he was coming to the Dome, I was there. You know what Tony Gwynn could do? He could hit to all fields. I don't like the idea that a lot of these teams that invested in analytics, they invested in the sort of intelligence part of the game, are teams from mid and smaller markets who realize that they cannot outspend a problem like the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox can do. They have to outthink a problem. And yeah, I think the biggest reason why the Astros won the World Series, or a big reason, is because of them deploying analytics like the shift ahead of other people. And so I just think I think it's undemocratic. I think in a country where we're supposed to be able to outthink and out-edge each other, creating artificial barriers to that because some teams are too lazy to do it, it's just, to me, I think it's just disappointing for all of the, the effects it's going to have on the game. And I don't even know what the actual effects will be. I mean, we'll see more offense, which will slow the game down. I guess you're just going to reduce the pitch clock. You got 5 seconds, to throw a pitch because, oh my God, we're having 15 runs a game because now there's no shift. Surprise, surprise, that Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred are being less than upfront with the motivations for why they're making such changes. They don't actually want the game to go faster necessarily, because if they did, they wouldn't institute 2 rules that'll make it go slower and 1 that will make it go quicker. I bet you we do not see, when you combine all of those rule changes together, I bet you don't see, we don't see an exponential reduction in game time. They talk a lot about how the minor league games have gone down, but they don't have things like, I think the bigger bases were only in the lower minors, and they don't have things like banning the shift. Not to my knowledge. So I don't know. Those are the 3 rules. I know your mileage may vary on them, but for me, I think they just sort of range in degrees from really, really good for the game to really, really trying to appease some of those teams who choose not to be smarter and who choose not to outthink their problems. But we don't have to think very hard about us getting back out to St. Paul in our amazing time visiting the Saints.
From the bleachers, the Let's Get To Game of the Week. Presented by the Dad Hat Chronicles.
And welcome back to From the Bleachers, but we're not coming to you from the bleachers. We're coming to you from the left field concourse at beautiful CHS Field. Check out how awesome our day was.
70 degrees, blue skies, a calm breeze. A perfect day for the greatest game ever invented. For well over a century, the name the Saints represented the city of St. Paul. The new iteration picked up a bat in 1993 and has set the standard for independent and affiliated minor league baseball every day since. It's an iconic name, an iconic look, one that's part of the very fabric of baseball in a state that loves the sport at all levels. And rolling up to CHS Field, you know you're in for something special. Our good friends from Omaha, the Storm Chasers, are in town. It's Dog Day at the ballpark, and for this Texan, it's not 102 degrees. CHS Field is easily one of the most unique, well-thought-out ballparks that we've visited this year. From suites to a great club level to a beer garden to the really unique color scheme in the seating level, it's an experience not easily duplicated and nothing like we've seen in minor league baseball so far. The history of the Saints is on display, not just in the full museum in the park, but throughout. When you walk in, you're greeted with the Professional Baseball Scouts Hall of Fame. I was especially impressed with the cleats from the no-hitter thrown on May 31st of 2019. That game was in Cleburne, Texas, and I was in the building. In fact, I got to jump on the radio call for the Railroaders and at one point was blamed for bringing a no-hitter with me. No, I didn't, but it was actually really cool to see even Cleburne fans in the stands impressed with the outing. You have retired numbers not just for Jackie Robinson, but also Saints favorites Kevin Millar, George Samus, and Wayne Terwilliger. Now, often minor league teams can feel a bit transitory, as if history doesn't stick. Well, in St. Paul it sticks, and it matters. These Saints cut their teeth in the indie leagues, and that vibe still permeates the game day experience. Chief among them are the famous ball pigs. With 867-530 Swine freshly retired, it's up to Chop Gun Maverick to deliver balls for the game. They even hold the pigs who served in the past in high regard at Monument Pork. And look, Yankee fan, you can have Monument Park all day long, but give me Monument Pork for the win. But there's one pig who reigns supreme, Mud Donna. That's right, Mud Anna. Everyone loves her. The dogs on display adore her. And if you're not watching the show and just listening, you're missing footage of maybe the happiest dog ever. The human kids love her too. And call me Kermit, but this humble baseball man is smitten. It is Dog Day at the ballpark, and I'm not sure I've ever seen so many dogs in so many shapes and sizes in one spot. I was very distracted, and I loved seeing all of the big dogs. Because, as Ron Swanson once said,
any dog under 50 pounds is a cat, and cats are pointless.
We met one of the most photogenic dogs ever. There were Goldens and Labs. We met a Newfoundland named Baloo, which is extra funny because I made a joke about him being a bear before actually learning his name. The Beast from the Sandlot made an appearance, and so many German Shepherds. You see, German Shepherd people we're kind of weird. We kind of freak out every time we've seen one, as if it's the first one. There were lots of stories, sharing of pictures, and lots of selfies, some more successful than others. Also, don't tell Vader. But it was Dog Day with a purpose. We met a dog that had been shot, lost feeling in its back legs, had wheels to help him move, and the Saints were helping him find a forever home.
And in a reality where we live, where someone can actually shoot a dog, it's nice to know that in the world there are real saints, and a bunch of them live in St. Paul. It's just a fun environment. I mean, the statue of a pig eating a hot dog, that's amazing, if not just a touch disturbing. I had to tell myself it was a vegan hot dog to get through the day. There's a playscape for human kids, and some of the coolest between inning games you'll see: chipping a golf ball into bins, catching papers tossed from the stands, jumping on the outfield wall to win a trip, and using a trampoline to do it. Simply, it's minor league baseball gone to 11. The Saints have a pair of ballpark announcers who bring energy and hilarity as they call the action on the field. The usherettes, random and hilarious. And Coach, he does push-ups on the dugout, one for every run they score. And by far, the best beer vendor ever.
I'd get a beer if I were you. If you're going to take my picture, I want to drink my beer.
But it isn't just fun and games. The Saints are part of a community, and they take that seriously. This is on display in a major way in their relationship with their sponsors, the Casino Treasure Island, ran by the Prairie Island Indian community. Between partnering to fund youth organizations, there is an educational component to their relationship. Between raising awareness through a specialty jersey for Native American Heritage Night to signs all over the ballpark helping you learn Dakota, it makes for a dynamic and inclusive environment. There's a lot to like for everyone, and everyone, it seemed, came out to the ballpark, one of the largest and liveliest crowds we've seen this season. There was a line before gates opened, and the crowd came to hang out. And what makes the Saints experience so special is that there's something for everyone and never a dull moment, but it never feels frantic. It never feels like you have to make sure that your head's on a swivel. Every second of the game is used effectively to create a truly pure minor league baseball experience. And it's doing its job, growing new baseball fans. The way the Saints run a game, the way they manage great AAA baseball with a fan experience everyone can enjoy, should be the model for all minor league teams. Often teams with great parks phone in the fan experience. Teams with less than great facilities have to up their game to compensate with a great fan experience. The Saints excel at both. Great park, amazing ballpark experience. Simply a great experience in a great community. Thank you, St. Paul, for an amazing time and for the German Shepherds.
On the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean, the fellas'
Who's
names
on first? The Let's Get To Team of the Week.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Presented by the Baseball Bucket List Podcast.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
All right, so we're super excited to welcome to Let's Get To You. Welcome back to the show, Shauna Ronson. He is the voice of your St. Paul Saints. Sean, how is it going? How has 2021 been treating you?
Season
2022.
Yeah, 2022. That's all right. Yeah, we're all looking at it in the past right now. No, the season's great, man. We're 2 years now into a AAA affiliate with the Minnesota Twins, and attendance has been phenomenal. The season's been fun. We couldn't ask for a better partnership than we have with the Minnesota Twins, closest affiliate of anybody out there.
Yeah.
We learned a lot in 2021 that we carried over to 2022. We're going to learn a lot from 2022 that we're going to carry over into 2023. Mainly, we never want to play another April baseball game again. Unfortunately, that's always going to be on the schedule. But for the first time in our history, we played April baseball this year. It should be outlawed in the state of Minnesota.
I completely agree.
But that is not the way that the baseball schedule works. So we're going to have to figure something out in how to draw people. It's funny. I looked it up the other day. I think we were 31st in all of minor league baseball in attendance from April until like the second week of May, basically when we used to open up, which was the second week of May. From the second week of May up until now, we are the 7th best drawing team in all of minor league baseball. Actually, I think we're like the 4th best drawing team in baseball. Overall, we're 7th best drawing team. So it's amazing how much that month of April is going to absolutely destroy us. But that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah. It's too bad you can't do like what the colleges up there do and schedule a couple of tournaments down south until that happens. I want to go back to, so last time we spoke, you guys going to the Twins was just a rumor. Sugarland going to the Astros was just a rumor. Somerset the same. What has that transition been like, and what have you learned from that first year into the second year, and what are you going to take with you into 23 outside of no April baseball?
First of all, I'm excited for what the next rumor is going to be. But yeah, look, I think the biggest thing that we took away, and I think we knew this going in, was don't change. Like, don't lose your identity. Don't lose who you are. We've got this unique brand of fan that is a cross between entertainment. They want to come out for the entertainment, which they've been doing since 1993. And now the baseball fan, which we really never got, right? We didn't get diehard baseball fan coming out to check out our players when we were an independent team. And I think what we're learning is, how can we make it so both can coexist in the ballpark together and give each of them something that they want? And I think that that's been a unique learning curve for us, but I think we've done a great job. You've got to, you can't, like, we've always sort of pushed the baseball side into the back. And I don't think we can do that any longer, but I don't think we want to make it the main focus either. And so that balance of keeping our identity while also at the same time embracing the fact that baseball matters to some people now, and how to balance those two things. So it's been a unique first couple of years in trying to get that balance down.
It's interesting you say that, because we've talked to a lot of teams that went from affiliated to another kind of ball.
Yeah, sure.
And they have to do a lot of educating to their fan base. It's still good, this and that. I'm assuming, though, that it's a pretty easy explanation to y'all's fan base of the stars you're going to see at Target Field are going to be here first, that kind of deal.
Yeah, but you have to remember, the majority of our fan base was always the entertainment side. It was educating those people that we weren't going to change, right? So while you go from affiliated to independent ball and have to educate people about the baseball players and all that sort of thing, and it's not however they wanted to package that. For us, it was the exact opposite. Like, there are a number of people out there that said, "Oh, well, they've sold out now. They're going corporate. They're going to be different now. The Twins own them," which is not true. They are minority owners, but they are far and away not close to being majority owners here, and have zero say in our day-to-day business operation. So it was educating the fans through the first year, but fans don't want to hear lip service. They want you to prove it to them. And I think we did a good job of that last year and again this year, improving to folks that, A, we didn't raise ticket prices. They haven't raised a dime since we became a AAA affiliate. B, you better bring the same hilarious entertainment side of things and be able to take shots at different places that you would usually take shots at. And I think we've done a good job of that. So, once you've done that, then I think, people will continue to trust you. Like, you had to reprove yourself to a lot of the fan base out there. And I think we've done a great job of that.
I watch you guys pretty closely on social media. You're one of the few teams that I get an alert every time you guys tweet. And the thing that I've noticed, and I wanted sort of to see if my suspicion was correct, that the Twins are kind of still letting you do your own thing culturally, as opposed to, the Astros are good about that. Like, they didn't change the name of they didn't become the Sugarland Astros. Other teams are not as good. So is that suspicion correct, that the Twins actually letting you guys embrace still being the St. Paul Saints from that perspective?
Yeah, you go back to the press conference when we became the affiliate. And I think it was Dave St. Peter who said it, might have been Carl Pohlad. I don't remember who it was, but said, we don't want you guys to change. We don't want them to change, meaning us, and that they were going to learn more from us than we were going to learn from them. they have harped on it over and over again. They don't want us to change our identity. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. They do not own the same. It's not like the Twins came in here and it's their front office people in here. All the people in the front office are the same people I've been working with for, a number of years now. There's not been one changeover on that. That's not to say we haven't added new blood into the front office, but overall, the main core of this front office has been around for a while now. And we're the same ones that came up with the funny ideas when we were in independent club. We're the same ones coming up with the funny ideas now. And the Twins have never called up and said, what's this promotion you guys are? Not one time have they done that. If there's been any challenge, to be honest with you, it's from Major League Baseball. You have to run every single promotion by Major League Baseball. I mean, every single promotion by Major League Baseball. And so they're the ones that would put the kibosh to anything before the Twins would even consider doing that. And so that's been a little song and dance that we've had to get used to. How can you do what you want to do while at the same time getting it by the censors, if you will, at Major League Baseball? Because I mean, it really is. It can be a back and forth sometimes where you're like, no, we want to do this. And here's what we're doing. They're like, no, you can't do it. And we're like, all right, well, let's find common ground on how we can do this, because this idea is funny. And just because you don't find it funny, you're afraid you're going to get sued or whatever happens, I don't know. So I'm not privy to those conversations. Like, you can't lose your identity in doing it. And you cannot also become this corporate conglomerate that Major League Baseball basically says, all right, well, we've sold the sponsorship for Marvel Night, which is great. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's fantastic. But you can't let Major League Baseball come in and sell 75 sponsorships across the board that become very static and stagnant. And you have to be able to keep your identity. And I think that's the big thing that, we're learning how to handle as we move along.
I will say, as sort of an obsessive minor league baseball competitor, I was a little disappointed in the homogeneity of the Marvel Nights, where there's about 7 jerseys and it's just you're changing out the logo. There's no incentive for me to buy all of them. No,
correct. And I guess on the totality of what you're saying, I agree with you. But most of those sponsorships are regional, right? Like, where, our fans are going to buy this stuff. They're not going to, look at anywhere else to buy it. But I agree with you. Like, working in the world of minor league baseball, and you look around and you're like, all right, so we all have the same 6 or 7 that we're choosing from. And then, we can only do certain characters, which, again, I understand. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're only going to give us the option of these jerseys that, you can debate whether they look good or not. And it's just, it's one of those things that I agree with you, that there is no creativity when it comes to that. And again, I'm not privy to the legal side of that on why you can and can't do that. I'm sure that's something way above my head.
Right.
But I would love to see them do a sponsorship with, company XYZ, where teams have the autonomy to do their own thing, but Major League Baseball still approves it, but you can do your own thing, right? Like, again, Major League Baseball already approves everything. But if you say, hey, we're doing Marvel Night, here are the 7 or 8 characters you can choose from. Now go crazy in what you want to create around that. We still have to approve it, but at least we're getting the opportunity to kind of be creative in what the jersey looks like or the hat looks like. Like the Copa side of things, I don't know how familiar you are with the Copa.
Absolutely. Yeah. Big fan.
Everyone gets to create their own stuff. Right. And I think Rob Thompson is our creative services director, graphic designer, did an unbelievable job with it. Like, it's incredible. And so much so that our last Copa night was Sunday, and we had like 2 or 3 new players. We didn't have Copa hats because we had sold out of them.
Wow.
So I don't know what they wound up doing. I don't know if guys that weren't playing that night, they just grabbed their hats, but like, it was like, we did a great job with that. But again, Major League Baseball allowed each team to create their own. I would like to see them do that with bigger sponsorships, where you get these Marvel nights or, whatever it may be. I think like Star Wars night, which I know there's no sponsorship for, but we're allowed to do it. Teams are able to create their own stuff with that. And I get Marvel was a little different because they did a deal with Marvel across minor league baseball, but you would like to see them handle that the way they do Copa or Star Wars night or any of these other nights.
This is a whole film nerd sort of tangent we won't get into, but it is interesting that Marvel and Star Wars have the same parent club. Yeah, you have 2 different sort of interactions.
Well, the thing is too, like, I think, and again, I don't know, but like Star Wars hasn't officially done anything. They've just allowed us to use their name, if you will. Again, there are some things that we want to do we couldn't do because, and as an independent club we would have done, but as an affiliated, you can't, because Major League Baseball said, well, they haven't given you the rights to do that. And again, everyone's afraid of being sued these days. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one last thing about, well, not one last thing. One of the other benefits of being a AAA club is you get the benefit of the rehab start, getting to see major league players up close. Have you had any this year, and how has that gone? I mean, have you seen an increase in ticket interest when those happen?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest name that we've had this year is Miguel Sano. I mean, Sano rehabbed with us for 2 weeks, I think it was. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. The guy was tremendous. And so we've had some other ones. Joe Ryan did a rehab start with us. I know I'm going to leave out some guys because a bunch of guys have gotten hurt. Alex Kirilloff rehabbed with us and then was optioned to us. We've had plenty of guys that have rehabbed with us. I mean, last year Buxton rehabbed with us. So it's cool. And yeah, I mean, it moves the needle a little bit, but not as much as it does probably in some other areas. And I think the big reason being is we're 9 miles down the road from the Major League Parent Club. So now, again, would I argue, should they want to come here? Yes, because the tickets are less expensive. So, but, again, they can just go down the road and watch these guys. Whereas in some of these other places, even if they're close is 40, 50 miles away. And so it's not quite as convenient. So yeah, it's one of those that, it moves the needle a little bit, but not as much as you would think.
Yeah. I didn't think about the proximity about it. But you're right. Like I went, I'm a big Strohs fan, and I went to Corpus when George Springer was there, and I was like, oh, how cool is it that I can be right on top of the action? One of the things I wanted to know the history of, if you know it, I think it's super cool. The pig connection. And I know that you guys had to retire 867-530 swine, which was a very disappointment. The 80s kid in me is disappointed, where did that come from, and how much fun is that to kind of work in with the crowd?
Yeah, so we've had the pig since '93, our first year. The city of St. Paul was founded by a guy by the name of Pete Pig's Eye Perrant, and Pig's Eye Landing was in St. Paul. And so when our owners, Mike Veck specifically, came into town, his wife was doing some reading up on it, and her name Libby Veck. And she discovered this about, the pig and all that. And she said, wouldn't it be cool? Because there are teams that already had dog mascots.
Sure.
And she was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a pig, and that's how it, like, his wife is the one that gets credit for just the idea of coming up with a pig as a mascot. And then sort of the live pig was, born out of that. And in year one, they didn't open it up to like a naming contest. I think the first year, I should know this because I do this every single year. I think it was just called the Saint, was the name of the pig. And I think in like year 3 or 4, they started opening it up to a name the pig contest. And you get some wildly creative names. And like you said, 867-530 swine was great. And the way it works is, we do about a month name the pig contest where people submit names, and then we take those and pare them down to what we think are the best 10 to 12. And then internally we vote on what we think the best name is on a number of different factors, humor, what could get us some good play out in the media world. What can we create cool outfits for, or cool song, coming in when we introduce the pig, or just even some cool skits that we can do based around the name. So there are a number of factors that come into play, and we sort of debate the names around here, and then that's what we go with. But for the first time ever, we switched over after 50 games to a new pig. And the part of the reason why was, like, after a while, the pig just gets so massive, like it literally turns into like a hog almost. Like it's not fair for the pig to come out here on a daily basis. It's got to be transported. I think it's like a 20-30 minute drive from the pig farmer's, place to here. And it just gets to be too much. So we decided at a certain point, and again, this is the longest season we've ever had, right? We've never played.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And, under the old iteration, it was a 50 game schedule. And even last year we started late, so we had less games than we do this year. And so we decided we would basically switch over the pig at about game number 50 or halfway through the season, whatever it was. And yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine like this monstrous pig walking through the infield. I'm super excited. All right, let's play a little pepper. Clear your mind, Sean.
That's not hard to do. Okay.
Oh, I don't know about that. All right. What is your go-to ballpark food?
Am I allowed to like answer more than one word on this?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I bring a Foreman grill and a rice cooker to the ballpark, and that's how I bring my food. I do not eat ballpark food. And it's nothing against our food. It's just, if I ate ballpark food year round or like season long, I'd be 400 pounds. So honestly, salmon and brown rice, chicken and brown rice, turkey burgers, that sort of thing. Now, if you're asking if I'm going to a game and I'm going to get stuff, I will say this. I am born and raised Los Angeles. Give me a Dodger dog and nachos, and I will be as happy as can be.
I have had a Dodger dog, and I think they're worth the hype.
I love them.
Yeah, I actually get to do a tour. I'm taking my film students to LA, and we're doing a tour of Dodger Stadium. I'm so fired up.
I'll say this real quick. Two things that Californians or LA people specifically will not shut up about when it comes to food are Dodger dogs and In-N-Out.
In-N-Out.
Those two things right there, we will not shut up about.
That's because they haven't had a chance to get a Whataburger. All right.
I've been down there. So the funny thing is, I refuse to eat another burger from a burger place like that, like a Smash Burger or Whataburger, like these places that focus on the hamburger, not like McDonald's or whatever, but like these specific. I refuse to do it because I am so loyal to In-N-Out. I will not try anybody else's burger. I refuse to do it. And that is the Californian in me.
You know what? I respect the dedication.
Yeah.
All right. Marvel or DC?
Marvel, but it's I'm not a gigantic comic book nerd as it is, but from the movies that I've seen, Marvel.
Okay. What's the strangest thing you've seen at a ballpark?
Oh boy. Man, I don't know about strangest, but I'll give you my strangest moment ever. We're going to get a little bit blue here, not too blue for you, but we'll get a little bit blue. This is my second year in baseball as a broadcaster. Our interns that year wanted to hold a concert after a game. And so the owner had one stipulation, and that was you have to get a sponsor. So they got a sponsor, and the sponsor was the local strip club. And so as part of the deal, I had to interview one of the strippers on the broadcast. It was one, and I'm a second year broadcaster. Now I would know how to handle it a lot better.
Yeah.
But that was the strangest thing that's ever happened to me in my entire career, was having to interview a stripper on the broadcast.
I hope it was Candy with an eye. All right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
What is your favorite team brand in minor league baseball that is not the St. Paul Saints?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would probably, man, there's so many new ones out here. I don't know if they're still around, and I apologize if they aren't. All the reshuffling, but the Casper Ghosts, wasn't that the thing? Like, I love that.
Yeah, they're not, but that was so good.
I thought that was brilliant. I remember when the Montgomery Biscuits came along. I love their logo. I think their logo is one of the best. It's like the pat of butter and the biscuit. I think they did a phenomenal job with that. I know there's 100 that I'm leaving out right now, but those are the first two that popped to my mind.
Okay. Kevin Costner as a ball player or a cowboy?
A ball player is not. I'm not even sure I've seen one of his cowboy movies. As a ball player, the guy, he respects the game. And if you saw what he did at the Field of Dreams game a year ago, like how much the game means to him. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Hey, I would like to point out he did win an Oscar playing a cowboy. Just saying.
Yeah, he could win 10 Oscars. It doesn't matter. Like I think the fact that he's done different, baseball type, like the guys, I think he's born to do that. I think he respects the game so much that the dedication that he has to that is second to none.
I would say ball player too, and a shout out to and a rest in peace to Augie Garrido, a good friend of his who played the manager and for love of the game of the Yankees, longtime Longhorn coach.
Yes.
All right, when you go to a new ballpark, Sean, where is your go-to place to sit?
Great question. Well, the press box, because that's where I sit in general. But I won't lie. I'm spoiled. If I can't sit close to the action, I'm not sure I want to go to a game. So give me as close to the playing field as possible, but not too close where your view is skewed on balls that are hit, right? Like it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I've sat like field level. It's hard. And because I'm so used to being up high, right, in a press box, like it's weird being field level. And I've sat field level, is my humble brag. I'm at Dodger Stadium, and seeing the ball off the bat is so hard. It's difficult. So give me a little bit up where I get a better perspective, but I don't want to be up in the nosebleeds.
All right. Let's say that it's April
Mm-hmm.
and MILB has moved your schedule to start in May. But
Okay,
you're
perfect.
excited about it.
Yes,
What is your
100%.
go-to baseball movie?
Ooh, man, Field of Dreams is the easiest answer, and that's off the top of my head, right? I don't know. You know what? A League of Their Own. That's what I'm going to say. I love that movie. That movie is great. I think it's extremely well done. Tom Hanks is brilliant. For love of the game, because of Scully, like Vince Scully is amazing, but A League of Their Own, I think it's well done, and still has a debate today that I think will rage on in terms of whether the ball was dropped on purpose or not at the end of that. Like, I think it's one of my favorite debates in sports movies. That movie holds the test of time. You could watch it 30 years from now and it will still hold as much as it did the day it was made.
We teach that in my baseball and cinema class and have that debate. And I really think she dropped it on purpose.
So do I.
Yeah.
But I get the other side of the argument. I really do. Like, she's so competitive. Why would she do that? But I genuinely believe she dropped it on purpose because of the love that she had for her sister and saw everything that her sister went through.
I think also from a structure standpoint, Kit never really earned that moment herself. And so it seems like it had to be Dottie reaching out to her sister. All right. Well, Sean, that's a fun deviation. Thanks so much for jumping on Let's Get To. I cannot wait to be out in St. Paul in just a few days after this recording.
Yeah, we look forward to having you out here. It'll be a good time. And let's hope for beautiful weather and a great ball game.
Holler and a Swaller, a chug of Ballpark brew. Presented by The Hitter Sports.
Welcome to Holler and a Swaller. I'm here with Jim at beautiful CHS Field.
I should be doing this job, but with all the dogs, I cannot be responsible for not paying attention.
So, what I'm drinking today is a Dual Citizen Caress Me Brown Ale.
I don't know that we don't really know each other that well. I've actually got a chocolate malt, which I think is so cool, from Snuffies, because I got this because you don't see these a lot at the ballpark. You called this place your church.
Yeah, this is my baseball church, CHS Field.
Thank you so much for bringing me to church with you, because this has been a beautiful, wonderful experience.
I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
All right. So again, one of the best things about this ballpark, all of the microbrew. You said there's like 40 on tap.
There are 40 Minnesota beers and ciders and other alcoholic beverages on tap in the craft beer corner.
All right, well, holler and a swaller, baby.
Holler and a swaller.
Now I'm going to get the ice cream headache.
You can't make me laugh when I'm supposed to be chugging.
On the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean, the fellas.
Who's on first? The Let's
The fellow
Get
playing
To
first
Team
base
of the
for St.
Week.
Louis. Who? The guy on first base. Who?
Presented by the Baseball Bucket
What are you
List
asking me for?
Podcast.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
And so we're super excited to welcome to Let's Get To as we continue to look at our trip to St. Paul. Derek Sharrer, he is the general manager of your St. Paul Saints. Derek, how's it going?
Well, James, how are you?
Oh, good. We're recording this about 3 days after I've gotten home. I'm still just buzzing about the trip. It was so much fun.
I love to hear it.
So the big thing I was curious about is I love talking to people working in minor league baseball because I think everybody comes from somewhere different. Everybody's path is different. How did you get from a kid, I presume, who liked baseball to now you're the general manager of one of the most prominent, first independent and now minor league baseball team affiliated teams in baseball?
Appreciate the kind words about the organization. We're certainly proud of it. I grew up in Indiana, and we had a AAA ball club there, the Indianapolis Indians. Actually, not had. There still is a AAA ball club there named the Indianapolis Indians. I grew up going to ball games there. Fell in love with baseball at what was known as Busch Stadium, older ballpark there that's no longer in use. They have a beautiful ballpark there now called Victory Field. As a teenager, going with my buddies to Busch Stadium, watching games there, I just, again, fell in love with the game and sort of found a home in the ballpark. That was the place I felt the most comfortable and the most at peace. And I couldn't imagine a better place to spend my days, particularly professionally, when I started thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. Went to Indiana University and studied sports marketing and management. It sort of had a thought process there, had no idea how it would work. But certainly if at that time you'd asked me what I wanted to do with my life, I would have said, I'd love to be the general manager of a professional baseball team. I would have had no idea what that meant. Certainly wouldn't have had any idea what it meant to be a minor league general manager. So very fortunate as I wrapped up my collegiate time there at Indiana. I began seeking entry-level positions, and I landed in the right place at the right time with the right people. I had studied the Veck family when I was in school, and I'd written a paper on the Chicago White Sox and Bill Veck, and knew a little bit about that history. As I began looking for jobs, I learned from a friend that there was a team in Fort Myers, Florida, owned by two or three principal owners, but the guy who was operating the club on a day-to-day basis was Mike Veck. And I thought to myself, if there's anybody who could understand a kid chasing a dream,
right,
it's a guy from the Veck family, Bill Veck, then Mike Veck. And as I learned more about the organization, I learned about the ownership group as a whole: Marv Goldklang, Bill Murray, Mike Veck, and again, I was very fortunate to land as an intern there in Fort Myers in 1994. Had a great opportunity to advance quickly there. Had an opportunity probably sooner than I should have.
Right.
At age 26 to take over as general manager of that club in Fort Myers. At the end of the 1996 season, I was there for 7 years total, 4 years as GM. Had an opportunity to move within the ownership group to Charleston, South Carolina, and operated as general manager there for 3 seasons. Lived there for about 4 years, and then the opportunity arose after the 2003 season, leading into 2004, to move here to St. Paul and take over as general manager here. And in our ownership group and within the industry, St. Paul had always been somewhat of a flagship organization, and I sort of grew up knowing about the Saints in the industry, and given that opportunity, it was tough to move north after spending 11 years in Florida and South Carolina. It was tough to talk my wife into that one, but for me, it was a no-brainer to take the opportunity here in St. Paul.
You oversaw a big change, and we all know about contraction, what it meant, but the one part of that was 3 independent teams elevated. I guess elevated is the right word, but you had the Somerset Patriots, the Sugar Land Now Space Cowboys, and you guys. How did your job change once you transitioned from independent, where everything is sort of up to you guys? Now it's you and the Twins working together to run the club.
There are a couple of very specific aspects of the job that have changed, but in general, it hasn't changed much. I mean, we're on a day-to-day basis, we're still doing the same things. We're still developing a plan to entertain as many folks as we possibly can. The key difference, I think, is the player personnel. The front office staff of a minor league independent franchise is responsible for responsible for the player personnel. Now we had our field manager, George Samus, who was with us for almost 20 years. That he was given autonomy with our roster. So I dealt with it from a business perspective, but I wasn't scouting and recruiting.
Sure.
We relied on our field manager to take care of that. But from a budgetary standpoint, that was part of our operation. Certainly as a AAA affiliate of the Twins, those players are employed by the Minnesota Twins, and those roster moves are, we play no role in those as a front office here with the Saints. Our major league partners taking care of that. So that's the most significant difference is not dealing with the player personnel in the way we did as an independent club. The rest of our operation is really very, very similar. Our goals are the same. Our plan is the same. It's just a little bit different relative to those players.
Again, you guys, Sugarland and let's say Gwinnett, have the luxury of being really close to the parent club. What are some of the advantages of that versus if their parent club is 3 hours away or however long, as far as y'all's partnership with them?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's such a unique aspect of the partnership that we have with the Twins, and frankly, we were very happy doing what we were doing and how we did it, and with whom we did it as an independent club. This move wasn't something that we were necessarily seeking or dreaming about, or even sort of a twinkle in the eye at any point. So
right.
The fact that things came together the way they did and the opportunity arose to partner with the Twins with this proximity geographically, with two successful franchises that had operated in the same market together for nearly 30 years, and had opportunities to work together and sometimes even compete in the same market. It was just a unique and exciting opportunity. And what we've seen from that is the way it's really the fan bases have sort of meshed and grown. I don't think there's any question that this partnership is helping grow the love of baseball here in the Twin Cities and overall the state of Minnesota. It's been fun to watch Saints jerseys start showing up at Target Field in Minneapolis, and Twins jerseys showing up here at CHS Field. We're not sure if it's new fans. We're pretty confident there's some new fans built in there, but at minimum, it's fans of each franchise sort of coming out of the closet to join each other in each other's ballpark. So that part's been really fun to see the way the fan bases have grown. The back and forth from a roster perspective has been crazy. I think we've had over somewhere near 80, 85 players on our roster during the 2022 season. And whether it's top prospects working their way up and making that move, or it's a rotation player getting an opportunity because of an injury, or it's a rehab player coming down to play here at CHS Field on a rehab stint. It's that flexibility that the Twins have from a roster perspective is really exciting for baseball fans here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, especially like the rehab start, you get to see somebody, a big Astros fan. I remember seeing George Springer like 3 rows away, and I would never, I don't make front row Minute Maid Park money down here. One of the things that, the show's about the cultural impact of baseball, and it's about fan experience. And I don't know if it's a leftover from your independent days, but I felt like this was the most well-rounded minor league baseball experience that we've had this year. Beautiful park, friendly staff, crowded, and in between innings, everything was popping and happening. The stadium announcers, I mean, all of that just works into this like perfect ball of what an experience should be like. And we talk about on the show a lot where sometimes if you have a beautiful park, they phone in the game experience. And sometimes if the park is older, then they try to plus up the entertainment factor. How much of that was a carryover from your independent days, and how important is it that you guys keep that kind of well-rounded ball game experience going?
Well, again, thank you for the kind words. I'm thrilled you had a great experience. For us, whether we were independent or affiliated when we opened up in 1993, I think the approach would have been the same. Certainly, we couldn't have opened up as an affiliated franchise in 1993 because we were moving. We opened up in a major league territory with the Minnesota Twins, but opening up a minor league team in the shadow of a major league ballpark, I don't know that there was any choice but to do something more than just play ball. We had to put together a unique entertainment package. And again, this is 1993 when the Saints franchise began as an independent. I think so many teams are doing similar things now. So there's been so much information shared and ideas shared over the years. It's one of the wonderful things about this business is that we don't compete against each other from a business perspective. We share ideas and great ideas are stolen and utilized in a good way. So opening up in 1993 in the shadow of a major league ballpark, what we were doing had to be different. It couldn't just be open the gates and play ball. It couldn't be just about the product between the white lines. So, I think it was a necessity for us to be unique and different and edgy, and that just developed over the next. We were very fortunate to have been the only outdoor baseball here in the Twin Cities at that point in time, and that was another significant selling point. But as time went on, and particularly after Target Field opened in 2010, just again emphasized how important it was for us to focus on the experience, not just the baseball.
Again, my compliments. I saw there were games that I hadn't seen before. All of it felt perfectly balanced, unobtrusive, but yet at the same time, there was always something happening. So it's definitely the biggest compliment I can give. It was a really great experience. Well,
thank you. Credit to our marketing and promotions team, and as anybody in the industry who listens to your show will know. I mean, our stabs are small, so everybody's involved in all of these decisions. When we sit down as a staff to come up with a promotional plan and brainstorm ideas, I mean, it's everybody from the groundskeeper to the top ticket sales rep to the promotions director to the team president to it's everybody involved. So I'm very fortunate to work with a pretty incredible group of people.
Well, let's play a little pepper. Are you ready?
I'll give it a shot.
Clear your mind. Some of these will be about baseball and some of them won't. I promise no politics or religion.
Okay,
That's all the best I can do. All right, what's your go-to ballpark food?
Okay, my go-to ballpark food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, boy, I'm gonna. This is not too out of the box, but I got to go bratwurst.
Yeah, that's a good call. I'm pretty like that too. Bratwurst or hot dog. I mean, keep it traditional for me. All right, Marvel or DC?
Oh man, as an affiliated team, I think it's somewhere in the PDL that I have to say Marvel. Right?
I think you're right.
But that's who we've got the Marvel partnership. So I mean, if I had to pick a superhero, I'd probably go Batman. But if I'm going to choose the group as a whole, I'll go Marvel.
Okay. What is the strangest thing you've seen at a ballpark?
Oh man, there are so many. I mean, everybody who's sort of grown up in this business could write a book. Boy, that's a really tough question. Strangest thing I've seen. Can we come back to that one? Because I've got to think about that one.
We'll circle back to that one. All right, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
By the way, best dog day I've ever been to because I'm a German Shepherd guy. So first of all, I'm seeing 8 of them. Not a lot of the tiny dogs, like the big dogs came out to play, and I always appreciate that. I don't care about your Shih Tzu. I'm sorry. What is your favorite team brand in minor league baseball that's not the St. Paul Saints?
I've got to go. I've got to stay in the family. Charleston River Dogs.
Yeah,
absolutely. I had lived in Charleston for 4 years, worked with that franchise for 3 years, but I just, there's no question that was sort of an early adopter in the world of the logo evolution, shifting from the Charleston Rainbows to the River Dogs, and that one will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. Someone left them a bad review on Yelp and hadn't gone, so they had a day in her honor. I thought that was the best thing I've ever seen in this sport. All right, here's another hard one then. What is the first time baseball broke your heart? You're a Twins fan, right? Or so?
Yeah, first time baseball broke my heart. I think I'm going to have to go with as I mentioned, I worked in Fort Myers, and boy, it's a really tough one. Here's where I'm struggling. So not as a baseball fan, I'm thinking more of as an operator. I think the first time my heart was really broken in this business was working in Fort Myers, my first year as a general manager, and having a rainstorm blow through late afternoon and actually canceling the game, and then having the sun come out. I stood at that front gate and told people that the game was canceled in spite of the sunny day as these cars coming through the park. So, you never forget your first mistaken cancellation.
Okay. All right. Star Wars or Harry Potter?
Full disclosure, I've never seen a Harry Potter movie, so I guess I have to go Star Wars with that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the right answer, so that's fine. Kevin Costner as a cowboy or a ball player?
Oh, ball player for sure. All-time greatest movie, Bull Durham.
I find it interesting. Look, I agree. I would say ball player, but I do remind people he won an Oscar playing a cowboy. So
fair enough.
Take that for what it's worth. All right. When you go to a new ballpark, where's your favorite spot to sit?
Oh boy. Favorite spot to sit. I'm a little bit spoiled over the years of being in the business. So the closer, the better. I do enjoy being behind home plate, maybe somewhere between the insides of the dugouts, so you can actually see into the dugouts. Maybe you can see the movement on the pitch. You can hear a little bit of the chatter. But I also love to find a spot in a standing room only area in the outfield, just sort of looking out over the entire ballpark.
Okay.
And that comes more from seeing how the building looks, and
right.
We all in this business fall in love with ballparks, and as much as the teams themselves, I think nowadays. So it's kind of fun to have that view of the whole building and just see how it operates.
All right. Now imagine that it is February in Minnesota. You're feeling the itch for some baseball. What is your go-to baseball movie?
I mentioned earlier, Bull Durham is one of my all-time favorites, but I'll go sort of deep cut, and second favorite, and it's a close, maybe 1A to Bull Durham being one. I love a movie called Long Gone.
Okay.
With Virginia Madsen and oh my gosh, can't think of the lead actor, but it's a minor league about a team called the Tampico Stogies. It's worth finding and watching.
I will make a note. Okay, do you have your weirdest thing yet? Have you come up with that?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the weirdest or not, but the one that stands out to me is here in St. Paul. This goes back probably 10 or so years in our old ballpark. Got caught. It was a July 4th game. Got caught by a huge storm early in the game. Got the tarp halfway on. The storm hit us so hard that we couldn't get the tarp all the way on. But it was early. We ended up, while we were delaying the game, the storm blows through. We're delaying the game, and to try to get the field ready, in spite of the fact that it had taken a bunch of water. So we had a pretty significant delay, a delay long enough that it had gotten dark. So we fired the fireworks actually during the delay. as opposed to waiting till the end of the game because the crowd had pretty much left anyway. And the visual that sticks in my mind is our center fielder. So we didn't have enough seats at our old ballpark to have a crowd more than give or take 5,500 people. For our big games, we actually put seats on the warning track, kind of like the old, you see the old pictures of people holding a rope on the warning track back in the 20s, 30s for big crowds. And we would do that. We would put snow fence around the warning track and put an additional 1,500 to 2,000 seats. We had that for this game, but that crowd had left because of the storm. And I remember seeing our center fielder, Jonathan Van Every was his name. He was a former prospect for the Boston Red Sox. We'd shot the fireworks. There was this really cloudy, smoky haze over the field. and there was our center fielder sitting in a folding chair that he had pulled off of the warning track, waiting for the smoke to clear so the game could start. So that's, I'm sure there's something more unique and weird than that, but that's what jumps to mind.
I think that absolutely counts. All right. He is Derek Sharrer. He is the GM of your St. Paul Saints. Derek, thanks so much for jumping on Let's Get To. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, James. I appreciate the time.
Raiders of the Lost Diamond, digging into baseball's past. Presented by Patrick Larson.
Located across the concourse from the third baseline bleachers in CHS Field, the City of Baseball Museum is a free museum that chronicles the history of baseball in Minnesota's capital city. The chronological journey of St. Paul baseball begins in the Sandlot era, which covers the 1880s to the early 1900s. The first team, known as the St. Paul Saints, played as members of the Union Association in 1884. The second team, known as the Saints, showed up the following year when Charles Comiskey moved the Sioux City Cornhuskers to town. The team competed in the Western League until they were moved to Chicago in 1900, where they would become the White Stockings. I wish they were still called the White Stockings. Proceeding to the Black Pioneers exhibit, you will see a St. Paul colored Gophers uniform. The Gophers were a successful independent black team that played at Lexington Park from 1907 to 1914. In 1909, they defeated the famous Leland Giants in a series that was billed as a National Black Baseball Championship. Also featured is Negro League great Tony Stone, who grew up in St. Paul. Stone would go on to play for the Indianapolis Clowns and the Kansas City Monarchs. Next up are the River Rivals and the Heavy Hitters exhibits. The River Rivals tells the story of the Saints and their local competitors, the Minneapolis Millers, as well as the numerous stars who played for both teams in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Luminaries such as Ted Williams, Willie Mays, and Carl Yastrzemski played for the Millers, while stars like Roy Campanella and Duke Snider played for the Hometown Nine. Heavy Hitters details the many future Hall of Famers who patrolled the diamond in St. Paul. There's also an art component to the museum featuring a fine collection of hand-painted baseballs. The final exhibit is the Comeback Kids, the independent Saints of the 1990s. Populated with jerseys, photos, and other artifacts from the team's Northern League days, visitors will see displays about Kevin Millar, Jack Morris, and Darryl Strawberry. The Indy League story continues into the American Association days and features a Craig Greenler painting that commemorates St. Paul's 2019 League Championship. Your journey through Saints history concludes by walking out into the bright lights of CHS Field and the present-day glory of the Twins-affiliated team. The photos and videos do not do the museum justice. It is an amazing part of an amazing ballpark, something that every team at all levels should work to emulate.
to close it out, the right-hander from Houston, Texas, James Christopher.
Back again, coming to you from Monument Pork, the St. Paul Saints monument to some of the little piggies that went wee all the way home. This has been a great time. The St. Paul Saints are a great combination of beautiful ballpark, very much a AAA situation with keeping some of that fun, independent baseball sensibility. We have had a great time. If you're traveling for baseball next summer, make sure you get out here. There's so much good beer, so much good food, but you can still get the staples. You can still get you some peanuts and some Cracker Jack, but most importantly, let's get to.
Let's Get To is presented by Twitchy Dolphin Media. Creative Director, Jessica Bybee Jedgetts. Executive Producers, James Christopher, Andy Tom Chesson, and Scott McIntyre. Produced by Andrew Nelson and Eric Mertens. Associate Producers, Timothy Jedgetts and Jess Canaster. Music by Andy Bertelson, Grace Usselman, and On Holiday. All content created by Let's Get To is the sole property of Twitchy Dolphin Media. All content created by teams covered in the episode are the sole property of the trademark holders.